The topic of discussion is distractions, something the Lord has recently highlighted. In today's world, countless things vie for attention from the moment one wakes up to the time they go to bed. It's not always outright sin that leads people astray. Sometimes it's the little things, the seemingly harmless activities that divert focus from God. It's easy to think that as long as one isn't doing anything wrong, they're on the right path. But that's not always the case. Sometimes it's the good things, the blessings in life that can subtly pull one away from God. Families, jobs, hobbies, these are all wonderful gifts from the Lord, but if not careful, they can become distractions that take precedence over one's relationship with Him. People can get so caught up in work, families, even hobbies that they lose sight of what truly matters. It's not that these things are bad, in fact they're often very good, but when they start to consume time and energy to the point where spiritual lives are neglected, that's when there's a problem. It's important to keep priorities in check. God should always come first. When He is at the center of one's life, everything else falls into place. It's about finding that balance and making sure that the relationship with God is the top priority. When other things are put before God, the relationship with Him suffers. It's a gradual process, often unnoticed until it's too late. Vigilance and mindfulness of where time and energy are going are crucial. The Bible warns about this in many places. One powerful story is the parable of the great banquet in Luke chapter 14, verses 15 through 24. In this parable, Jesus tells of a man who prepared a great feast and invited many guests. But when the time came for the banquet, the guests made excuses and didn't show up. The man represents God, and the banquet represents the kingdom of heaven. The guests who made excuses represent those who get distracted by the things of this world. The first guest said he had just bought a field and needed to go see it. The second said he had just bought 5 yoke of oxen and was on his way to try them out. The third said he had just gotten married and couldn't come. These are all good things, property, work, family, but they became excuses for not attending the banquet. The man who prepared the banquet was angry and told his servant to go out quickly into the streets and alleys of the town and bring in the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame. The servant did as he was told, but there was still room. So the master told his servant to go out to the roads and country lanes and compel them to come in, so that his house would be full. This parable teaches that God invites everyone to His kingdom, but one must be willing to accept the invitation. The distractions of this world must not keep anyone from the most important relationship they have, the one with their Heavenly Father. It's a moment to reflect on personal lives. What are the things that are distracting from God? Are excuses being made for not spending time with Him? Are the good things in life becoming more important than the relationship with Him? A conscious effort should be made to put God first in everything. Prioritizing the relationship with Him above all else will lead to everything else falling into place. There will be a peace and joy that only comes from being in close communion with the Creator. This wake-up call about distractions should be heeded, and necessary changes should be made in life. Focus on what truly matters and keep eyes fixed on Jesus. Jesus tells this story about a man who prepares a huge feast and invites many guests. He sends out his servant at dinner time to tell everyone, "Come, everything is ready." But here's the thing, every single person starts making excuses. One guest says he just bought a field and needs to inspect it. Another says he bought some oxen and has to try them out. And another one says he just got married and can't come. Now, in biblical times, a banquet was a big deal. It wasn't just about eating, it was about fellowship, about celebrating and connecting with the host. When the host invites you, it's an honor, a sign of relationship. So, this banquet Jesus talks about, it represents God's invitation to us to come and experience His presence, His love, His abundance. He's prepared a feast for our souls, and He's calling us to come and dine with Him. You see, God deeply desires a relationship with us. Psalm 25 verse 14 says, "The Lord confides in those who fear Him. He makes His covenant known to them." From the very beginning, in the Garden of Eden, God longed to walk and talk with Adam and Eve. He created us for connection, for intimacy with Him. He wants to be involved in our lives, to share His heart with us, and to guide us every step of the way. So back to the parable, those excuses the guests gave, they weren't bad things in themselves. It's good to be responsible, to take care of your work and your family. But the problem is, they let these good things become distractions. They allowed them to take priority over God's invitation, over spending time with Him. This is a powerful reminder for us today. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of daily life. We often find ourselves prioritizing work, social engagements, and personal ambitions over our spiritual well-being. But it's crucial to remember that our relationship with God should always come first. We need to be so careful not to let the good things in our lives become idols, things we put before God. It's not just about avoiding obvious sins, it's about ensuring that even the blessings we receive don't overshadow our devotion to Him. Our careers, our hobbies, and even our families are gifts from God, but they should never replace Him in our hearts. Our work, our possessions, and our achievements can easily become distractions if we're not vigilant. It's important to recognize that while these things are significant, they are temporary and should not be the foundation of our lives. Our relationships, they're all blessings, but they shouldn't take God's place in our hearts. Whether it's our spouse, children, or friends, these relationships should be nurtured and cherished, but always with the understanding that our ultimate loyalty and love belong to God. We need to make a conscious effort to put God first in everything we do. This means being intentional about our spiritual practices such as prayer, Bible study, and worship. It's about creating habits that keep us connected to God throughout our day. That means starting our day with Him, dedicating the first moments of our morning to prayer and reflection. By doing so, we set a positive tone for the rest of the day and remind ourselves of His presence in our lives. Talking to Him throughout the day, whether it's during a lunch break, a walk in nature, or a quiet moment in the midst of our busy schedules, helps us stay grounded and focused on what truly matters. And making time for Him in our busy schedules is essential. It's easy to say we're too busy, but when we prioritize God, we find that everything else falls into place. Scheduling regular Bible study, attending church services, and participating in fellowship with other believers are all ways to keep God at the center of our lives. Remember, putting God first is not just a one-time decision, it's a daily commitment. It's about continually seeking His guidance, trusting in His plan, and surrendering our own desires to His will. When we do this, we experience a deeper sense of peace, purpose, and fulfillment. So, let's make a conscious effort to put God first, always. Let's strive to live in a way that honors Him and reflects His love to those around us. By doing so, we not only strengthen our own faith but also inspire others to seek a closer relationship with Him. In every aspect of our lives, let's remember to put God first, always. It's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life and lose sight of what's truly important. We can be so focused on our goals, our to-do lists, and our commitments that we forget to nurture our relationship with God. Remember, even blessings can become distractions if we allow them to consume our time and energy, pulling us away from our Creator. The enemy knows that he can't always tempt us with big, obvious sins, so he uses distractions, those seemingly harmless things that chip away at our time with God. He whispers, "Just one more episode," or "You can pray later," subtly pulling us away from our source of strength and peace. So, let's be vigilant, my friends. In a world filled with endless distractions, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. We are constantly bombarded with information, tasks, and responsibilities that can pull us away from our spiritual journey. But we must remember to stay grounded and focused on our faith. Let's guard our hearts and minds against distractions, both big and small. Whether it's the lure of social media, the demands of work, or the pressures of daily life, we need to be mindful of what we allow to take up space in our lives. By setting boundaries and prioritizing our time with God, we can ensure that our spiritual well-being remains intact. Let's make a conscious effort to put God first in everything we do. This means starting our day with prayer, seeking His guidance in our decisions, and turning to Him in moments of joy and sorrow. When we make God the center of our lives, we create a strong foundation that can withstand any storm. When we prioritize our relationship with Him, everything else falls into place. Our worries and anxieties diminish, and we find a sense of peace that transcends understanding. We begin to see the world through a different lens, one that is filled with hope and purpose. We find true joy, peace, and purpose when we keep our eyes fixed on Him. Our relationships improve, our work becomes more meaningful, and our lives are filled with a sense of fulfillment that can only come from a deep connection with our Creator. Remember, the banquet is ready, and God is waiting with open arms. He invites us to partake in the feast of His love and grace. All we need to do is accept His invitation and make Him the priority in our lives. Let's not make excuses, let's choose Him above all else. In every decision we face, let's ask ourselves if it aligns with our faith and brings us closer to God. By doing so, we can navigate the complexities of life with confidence and clarity, knowing that we are walking the path He has set before us. As we journey through life, let's stay focused on what matters most. Let's keep our hearts and minds fixed on God, and trust that He will lead us to a life of true joy, peace, and purpose. Together, we can overcome any obstacle and experience the fullness of His love. So let's commit to this journey of faith, supporting and encouraging one another along the way. Let's be a light in the world, shining brightly for all to see and staying focused on what truly matters most.
If you enjoyed this video, please like it, leave a comment, and if you are not subscribed, subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell to not miss any videos like this one.